There are currently digs underway. Heil Hitler. But Rahn was never able to secure the ultimate prize, the sacred chalice itself.
In 1939, Otto Rahn mysteriously resigned from the SS.
Many believed Himmler issued orders to have Rahn killed once it was clear his quest for the Grail had failed. Two months later, he was found dead in the Austrian Alps. The cause of his death remains unexplained. In his continued quest to prove the superiority of the Aryan race, Himmler created a research institute called the Ancestral Heritage Organization. In addition to conducting medical experiments on human beings and checking bloodlines to ensure racial purity, the organization's mission was to resurrect and reinterpret occult practices, ancient Germanic myths, and pagan lore. This Nazi film shows one such ritual, young girls dancing around the Nordic pagan symbol of war and divine order. To control all occult knowledge, Himmler confiscated the libraries and artifacts of any occult society that was not associated with him. This included secret societies such as the Freemasons, who the Nazis believed were an occult organization created by the Jews to conspire against the Germanic people. While Himmler suppressed certain occultists, he also advanced the careers of others, such as Karl Maria Willigut. In Willigut, Himmler believed he'd found the key to popularizing the ancient pagan tradition in modern Germany. The mystic became a high-ranking SS officer and one of Himmler's prized possessions.
Well, the interesting thing about Willigut is that he is really perhaps the leading example of an occultist in the immediate circle and service of Reichsführer SS Heinrich Himmler.
Willigut believed he was a direct descendant of the Norse god Thor.
Copies of his papers, found in Himmler's personal file, reveal that Willigut believed he possessed extrasensory powers.
One document entitled The 9 Commandments of God was signed by Willigut and initialed by Himmler. Written in both modern German and the runic alphabet, it suggests that Willigut thought he was using his powers to rediscover the ancient rites and rituals of Germany's pagan past. According to Nordic legend, the runic alphabet used by Willigut was given to mankind by Odin, the supreme god in Norse mythology. This sacred alphabet was his gift to mankind.
The runes were derived probably from a mixture of ancient signs that were carved on stone in pre-literate times. And these alphabets actually had meanings. Each letter has a meaning.
The Hagal rune, protection of the bearer against his enemies. The Odal rune, one's connection to the clan or tribe. The Tyr rune, victory and world order. The Sig rune, the sun or conquering energy. These symbols appeared throughout the Nordic world, on such objects as Viking ships, battle spears and shields. The alphabet of ancient priests and magicians, runes were believed to be mystical tools for fortune-telling, casting spells, and invoking magical spirits.
You cast the runes, somewhat analogous to a tarot layout. You throw them and then you read the particular combinations of runes that arise. It has got the reputation of being an extraordinarily powerful magical system.
As Germany's warrior elite, members of the SS were taught the meaning of the runes. A photograph that survived the war shows an SS officer at a blackboard teaching the runes to a class of SS recruits.
Many organizations within the Third Reich had their own special rune. The SS, perhaps the best known, of course, used the double sig rune.
These mysterious figures were worn on the shoulders and helmets of all SS uniforms. The Hitler Youth used a single sig rune. These ancient mystical symbols were seemingly everywhere. Serving as a constant reminder to Germans of their pagan past.
After the SS recruit had passed his training and taken the oath, if he was an officer, he was then given the SS dagger, which was a sort of hunting knife with a black handle, the SS runes on it, the swastika and a wreath, and the German eagle. And this was a very prized possession.
Engraved into the dagger were the words, "My honor is called trust." SS men received the dagger in a solemn ceremony. Every member of the SS wore the SS signet ring. But for his inner circle, the elite of the elite, Himmler personally handed out the Death's Head ring. A former high-ranking SS officer, Wilhelm Hertel, still remembers the ceremonious occasion.
The ring was engraved with your name, mine, for example, to my dear Hertel, Heinrich Himmler. That was inside the ring, around a death head. That was supposed to symbolize the close connection to the SS and to Himmler.
In a speech given to SS officers stationed at Dachau, Himmler stated, "Never forget, we are a knightly order, from which one cannot withdraw, to which one is recruited by blood, and within which one remains body and soul." Borrowing from Germany's pagan past and his own Catholic upbringing, Himmler invaded SS family rituals from the moment of birth.
One picture we have which shows a full tableau of such a sort of Nazi or Hitler shrine for the purpose of baptism of infants. An SS altar in place of a crucifix, a picture of Hitler, and the babe would have been presented, if you like, into the community of Germanic warriors through this kind of tableau.
The marriage ceremony also became an SS ritual. Mimicking ancient Germanic tribes, SS officers took on the role of the clan leader who presided over marriages. Himmler himself officiated at one such ceremony. This rare footage shows one of his SS officers marrying Gretel, the sister of Hitler's mistress, Eva Braun. Rings were exchanged, as well as bread and salt, the ancient pagan symbols for the fertility and purity of the soil.
These ritual activities would take place to imply the pagan community of which every SS man and his bride was now a part.
The Nazi year was marked with celebrations taken from the ancient Germanic calendar. The Maypole Festival, initially accepted as a celebration of fertility, was transformed into a show of nationalism and military strength. Hitler said, "And so it is that this day, the 1st of May, the land is filled with celebrations of the resurrection of the German people out of eternal inner strife.
People need festivals to mark the year, and they tried to substitute the pagan festivals for the Christian festivals. They began to annex the festivals which the pagans had celebrated. Summer solstice, winter solstice, all these festivals, yes? And shaped them in their own image.
Nazis even began to restore ancient pagan temples like Externstein,
which was dedicated to a solar deity.
At Externstein, during the summer solstice, a shaft of light shines through a window and lines up with a point on the altar. While Externstein was considered a holy place for Germanic tribes, it is far from unique among ancient temples in tracking the sun's movements. Himmler was convinced, however, that it was proof of the superior intellect of prehistoric Germanic priests. In Nazi Germany, the festival at the summer solstice would be turned into a fascist rite. Traditionally, summer solstice festivals were a celebration of life and of the sun's powers.
Dramatically staged and carefully choreographed, speeches were given preaching self-sacrifice and heroism.
In this particular ritual, propaganda minister Goebbels gave the speech. In ancient times, the bonfire represented the ritual relighting of the sun. In Nazi Germany, they were tributes to the Führer. In the largest of these rituals, torch-bearing troops created symbolic patterns in the night. At the end of the year, the long night of the winter solstice honored Germany's dead. Himmler explains in his Dachau speech, "The winter solstice is not just the end of the year, but it is also the festival on which one thought of the ancestors and of the past, on which the individual is clear that he is nothing, an atom to be wiped away at any time, while linked in the eternal chain of his lineage by a true humility."
The full calendar of rituals culminated with the rally at Nuremberg, where the vows between party and people were renewed year after year.
Tens of thousands of uniformed Nazis joined forces. The week-long rally was orchestrated to sweep people up in a spectacle of sheer power.
Now, every religion has its ritual. The Nazis had their ritual, their mass rituals, yes?
Ey huzura ermiş nefis,